Welcome back to the Crude Project with another installment of
Brother,
What's That, Brother? Where we here talk about conspiracies. Next up,
We might be the Martians.
we might be Martians. Stay tuned. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe.
So, came across some conspiracy related stuff, right?
Okay.
But it's also some technologies that may be present and some human abilities that is present apparently, but not known to many. And some may even say it's outright BS and that it doesn't exist and that humans don't necessarily have this ability. But I assure you, it's real.
Are you one of them?
Well, according to this one person, we are all capable of this.
Oh,
So let me dig into it, okay?
okay. Let him cook.
So there's this person that I dug into a little bit. His name is Joe McMoneagle. Okay? Joe McMoneagle was first, I saw him on, I want to give credit to Sean Ryan Show SRS, okay? And I saw this guy on there. He talked about him and interviewed him a little bit. So I got curious. I was like, what is this? Because he mentioned remote viewing. And I was like, what is remote viewing?
Okay.
And then I went down yet another rabbit hole of ours. So in this rabbit hole that I went down, I found a lot of things. Now, a lot of things are confirmed and a lot of things are unconfirmed. A lot of things are rumors. And again, a lot of things are conspiracies, right? But every conspiracy has some sort of fact or some sort of actual basis to it.
Okay.
You know?
Sure. Yeah. I can see that.
So Joe McMoneagle is the world's #1 remote viewer. Now you may ask, what is remote viewer, right?
He's ranked 1.
Well,
There's a ranking system?
world's #1 remote viewer. What is remote viewing? Remote viewing is apparently an ability that someone has, and Joe McMoneagle in this case has. He can go out of body, experience, let me put it to you this way, in a very simple manner, okay? You can go in a meditative state almost,
Yeah.
and you can send your basically like an astral projection of yours.
Sure.
Right?
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
So say I want to know right now, I want to know what's going on with the Amazon rainforest. What's there? You know?
So it's like Google View
So
for human?
kind of. So if I wanted to know what's going on in the Amazon rainforest right now, I can go into a meditative state and I can send my basically astral
Projection.
astral projection into Amazon, and I can not only just view Amazon firsthand, like eyewitness type shit. I can not only just do that, but I can also multiply that times however many different areas, so I can see multiple areas at one time.
Oh, so we're on some like CCTV level
Almost.
type stuff. We're like in a security room and a bunch of screens,
Mhm.
and you're able to just see screens in different areas all at the
Basically.
same time.
Yeah. So there was an instance where some odd years ago, okay? Let me actually, before I say this, let me backtrack a little bit. Let me give a little bit of a backstory as to what or how remote viewing came about and why Joe McMoneagle is #1. He was actually the first and the #1, okay? And Joe McMoneagle, he's like pretty old now. This dude is apparently obviously a CIA asset, okay? And there's this place that's called the Monroe Institute.
Okay.
I believe, Kev, can you pull up the Monroe Institute website? I believe I had it up there somewhere. Go back this, yeah. So this is the website for the Monroe Institute. It actually is a place that exists.
They like X-Men?
Well, you could say that, kind of. It's in theory, some of these things that they put in movies or whatever, they take it from real things, real places, real events, real people, and and they put obviously like a little bit of a fictional twist to it.
Right.
Now, imagine Monroe Institute being Professor X's
That's what I'm saying, dude.
building, right? And they take exceptional people in there and they'll put people through trials. They'll take like, I don't know, 200 people or whatever, and they'll put them all in a classroom and they'll test them and they'll see out of the 200 people who did well in this test and then, and then keep going down, breaking down the numbers further and further until they can come down to like, top 5 or whatever. And then out of the, those top 5, they'll see if these top 5 are good enough. And then those are the people that the CIA will take and they'll train them
For the remote viewing.
And they will become one of the CIA's top assets because they can do things that your agents on the field cannot do.
They're big surveillance.
Bro, this is how they can do surveillance gathering. So now that I put that into perspective, right? I explained that. So Monroe Institute is a place where they teach remote viewing, where they train people for remote viewing. And so Joe McMoneagle was one of the first ones, and he excelled, and he has been the number one since then. And now I believe he is retired. And for a time, he was training other people in this institute as well. There was a time that some odd years ago, going back to where I was saying earlier, the CIA basically tasked him with finding a submarine that the Russians were working on near the Arctic, North Pole. Now, some remote viewers need a lot of clues, like shape of the thing, or exact coordinates, or whatever.
General area, destination.
Exactly. All
Gotcha.
as much information that you can give, and then this guy, with taking all that information, he can go and he can
Google Earth
that thing basically. Okay. And so, but this guy was so good that they gave him literally nothing but a general location in the North Pole. And they said, there's something there. We want you to go check it out in this general area. We want you to report back what are the Russians working on. This guy went out of body. He remote viewed into this general location, and he came back with his findings, and he said the Russians are working on a submarine that is it is giant. He said it is so damn big, it is the size of a building, like a huge ass building. Like none of our submarines compare to it.
Was he right?
He was absolutely right. And then, so they actually went later on because they had satellite imagery. They wanted to test him, giving him, zero to little information to see how good he is. They had satellite imagery. They knew what type of thing they want. They had an idea of like, oh, it looks like a submarine, and it's in this exact location. But we want you. They wanted to test him how good he was, and then they want him.
Oh.
Yeah, and he went. Not only did he find the submarine, he went inside the submarine. He gave them exact details and blueprints of the entire thing, of how it works, how it's made, and everything to the T. He described the entire thing to the T.
Damn.
And
he got Google Street View and everything installed.
And he was correct on all of it. So now that's just one, okay? What blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind, okay, was the fact that, first and foremost, the fact that this is real.
That he did that is kind of, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
To be able to actually perform a feat like that, if it's to be true,
yeah,
like when the CIA already had the information they needed for the most part, and then to be like, all right, well, tell us. And he hits the nail on the head, that's wild.
Yeah. Like, accurate as hell. And he went above and beyond and gave him more details.
He is Professor X.
He is Professor X, basically.
He's just putting his hand on the globe. It's a large submarine in the North Pole.
So yeah, basically. So that was one of the things that first and foremost that blew my mind. I was like, nah, this cannot be real. But it is real, apparently. And yeah, Monroe Institute is the place that they teach this.
And be gone for a couple
now,
summers.
Yeah, well, and as the years have gone on, there are rumors. Monroe Institute is not the only place that they have created that they teach this stuff. And there are rumors that other countries, rival countries, have
Uh-oh.
taken this idea, and now they have also
We're training
been
others.
training,
Ooh.
their secret intelligence and their assets basically to be able to do that.
You know what this reminds me of?
Yes.
Are you familiar with, I believe I have the show correct, Ghost in the Shell? It's an anime series. They made a movie, a real life movie.
Uh-huh.
They're like certain, I think they're kids or younger adults that they have like in this. It might be, I might be getting the show wrong, completely wrong. I don't know. But all I remember is there's a pool and they're all in this water pool. There's like 5 or 6 of them and they're hooked up and they're surveillance for like everything. It's like a remote viewing, but they take all of their information and they use it immediately.
Do you know what else this reminds me of? It's funny that you mentioned that because have you seen Stranger Things? The show
yeah.
Stranger Things?
I've seen some of the first season. I haven't watched it religiously.
Do you remember 11?
Yeah.
Do you remember when every time they wanted her to go do this they put her in a tub and she went, eyes closed,
Right.
and they hooked her up and she was able to do that, go into it, and they gave her little clues of like, this is what you're looking for.
This must be, they probably teed it off of this.
This is what I mean. Shows, movies.
I wonder what the water signifies though.
But the one thing that was different for me, the more I listened, the more I dug, the one thing that was different than that stuff was the fact that Joe McMoneagle, this dude, didn't need to go into a water bath or
No, he was just wherever.
I'll give you another example. There was a time where a CIA person, or actually it was, I believe it was, so there was a missing child. And this missing child was reported to the police, I believe, and they were having a hard time finding this missing child. Okay. And they contacted him.
The police department.
The police department and I believe it was whoever the sheriff's, or the FBI, whoever else that it got escalated to because they couldn't find it, and they needed help. So they were like, how can we find this child quick? Because we've been searching and we can't find. So they reached out to him. And I believe he said it was like around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. And I got a call. They woke me up from my sleep and they were like, we're looking for a child. This is the description and this is the name, this and that. What can you do? He said, give me a moment. I'll call you back. He called back and he said the exact location. He gave the exact location of the child, where she was and where she can be found. They said, we can't, that's not possible. That the child is not there. That area that you're describing, that's just not possible for the child to be there. Because they called him again and he told them, and then hung up the phone and then went back to bed apparently. And then they said that they would search, whatever, and then they said, no, it's not possible. The child is not there, that the child can't be found, whatever. And they called him again. Woke him out of bed. This time he was grumpy. He was like, what I told you is correct. Go look. The child is there. Hung up. And they were like, yo, what the? So they were like, fine. All right, just go search in this area that he said.
Yeah.
Because they were like, first, saying.
I mean, and nothing else they got to go off of.
So they go. And just like he described, exactly, this kid was hiding near a little, I think it was like a shed or something with one light post, just like he described. She was hiding right behind that.
That's wild. That's wild, dude. When can I get that upgrade? Let me get the Google. Let me get the Google Earth Street View combo, dude. I'm telling you what. I'll never be late for work. I'll be able to see when traffic is where.
Right.
Bro, here's a question.
Yeah.
What do you think we would run into each other in an astral? What would happen? Like you're both kind of head to a destination to remote view. There's traffic in the astral projection planes.
He actually said that.
What do you have? Do you switch bodies like Freaky Friday?
No. That's not how it was. Apparently, he said something along the lines of like, because other people were being trained, right? At the time that he was like at that time he was the asset, so he was working with them.
He was number
and then
one.
other people were being trained to do it as well. And there was another person who was pretty good as well, and they actually they saw each other in the same place,
That's creepy.
astral, like outside of body, astral projection type of thing.
I just think
They
of
saw
like
each
two
other.
ghostly looking, like it's like you, but you're like kind of like you have like some opaqueness to you, like
Yeah.
you can see through,
Yeah.
and you just see two of you floating. You're just like, well, what do you do? What do you wave to another project? Hey,
Right.
on the job. See ya. Floats away.
A little ghost machine.
I don't know what you would do, dude.
Little
That's
Casper the
crazy.
Friendly Ghost.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, diving deeper, okay? So, yeah, all of this was crazy to me. So, the more I listened, the crazier it got, to the point where there was an instance where he had he said there was this one mission that I had where his superior came up to him and he said, I have an envelope in my pocket. I'm not going to show you what the envelope has. I want you to tell me what the envelope is. He remote viewed into basically his pocket, and he was like, looked at the contents, or not necessarily looked at the contents, but he was like, yeah, it's an envelope, and it's there's a date written on it, or maybe it's like a coordinates or something, and he said, okay, and then he pulled it out, and then he said, the date that was written on there, it said Mars 1 million BC. This guy, his superior, he asked him, okay, take the date and the location, and there's coordinates on there for Mars. Based off of this, remote view into Mars and tell me what you find. Tell me what you see in the coordinates that is described on Mars.
In the past.
1 million BC on Mars. So now that gives you an idea, okay, that you can remote view into the past as well. He said, I can remote view into the future as well, but not that far, very limited. But because the reason why it's very limited, I can't remote view into the future, is because the ability to do this is based off of what is already there and what has happened, but not what hasn't happened. So I cannot foresee things. And if I can foresee things, it's like not that far, like very close. I don't know, maybe hours ahead or something like that. Maybe like I don't know, day or something like that. But no, not like years or whatever. No, it's all based off of basically what is there, what has happened, and things that he can things that are kind of tangible almost.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why he was able to remote view 1 million BC
backwards
to Mars.
That
was one of my thoughts when he was talking about remote viewing. I was like,
to Mars.
That was one of my. I was like, well, how far can you see? Like how far? If I'm in like say Virginia, can I? He went to North Pole. He saw something in North Pole, right?
Yeah.
I was like, so can you see something in like Japan or something? Probably he can. And he had other missions too. He's like all over the world apparently, where he did jobs. And then, but then I was like, can you remote view into outer space, other planets maybe? And
Mars is
as I listened,
pretty far.
Yeah, and as I listened to him more, boom, he answered my question with that. That, yeah, he actually remote viewed into Mars 1 million BC. And I got a couple of pictures that he described of what he saw on Mars.
Yeah.
And some of these kind of like blew my mind, honestly. So what he described to the T, and he was like, and some people that heard me say this stuff and hear me say this stuff, they kind of brushed me off as like, what you're talking about or whatever, right?
At this point, it starts to get pretty skeptical, right?
Yes.
We're talking about time travel on top of astral projection on another planet. You have to have a very open mind to even be grasping the possibilities.
Yep.
It's so easy, first and foremost, to be like, no, you're crazy, and then walk away. But to hear somebody full out and be like, huh, maybe. It takes a very open mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can see where a lot of people, no, that's crazy. And then immediately want to hear nothing more.
Yeah, I like a lot of the things that he was saying. Obviously, I'm still skeptical, and I stay skeptical, but I'm also curious. You know,
Oh, 100%.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I mean,
I'm
if the
curious.
CIA for themselves had him as an asset for any amount of time,
Years. I mean, 20 plus years or something.
something had to have been serious. Even for a day, for the CIA to take you as an asset, something was there.
Yeah, like I said, there's solid proof of this stuff being real, and they have institutions like this for what they call gifted people.
I'm fitting to have a whole summer camp, baby. I'm fitting to come back a whole different me.
So,
Start floating in a room.
Kev, can you pull up the pictures of what he saw on Mars? Let's go to this one first. Okay.
This is
so,
Mars? Why does it look like the moon?
So just color degradation, like it obviously these are pictures that were taken with a camera that didn't have. These are old ass pictures.
Okay. Say less.
Yeah, and so it didn't have color in the.
Why is that a face?
So it's interesting that you mentioned that because he actually did describe it as a face. Do you know that one stone, like the dum dum or whatever, like there's this giant stone.
Easter head.
Yeah,
Easter Island. I'm sorry. Easter Island statues.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The one island has just the big stone heads.
So it kind of is like something like that is what he described it as. Okay.
Oh.
Now go to the second picture. The second picture is going to describe things a little bit better because he actually pinpointed things. Okay. So this picture, so do you see all of those markings?
Yeah.
And every description that he put on there? So that he described it as the city right there on the top left.
Yeah.
And then
city square,
Yep.
the face, the thallus, the D&M pyramid, and the cliff. That I mean, if that's Mars, dog, that looks like structures. That's a full blown face. You can't be like, no, that's fake. That's a freaking face.
bro, it gets crazier. So go to the second picture or the third picture. All right, so this looks like a giant keyhole looking structure. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, kind of almost looks like a serpent at the head at the top, but I could see the big old keyhole.
Yeah.
This is on Mars.
This is on Mars.
Is this how big?
This is a newer picture. Okay. Like you can see the color and everything.
Yeah.
So this is newer, and this actually was documented by History Channel as well. There was a whole docuseries done on this. Now, there's a significance to this because these structures were also found in Japan.
Oh,
Now, go to the second picture or the picture after this, the bottom, or yeah, that one. This is a structure in Japan, and they preserved it.
looks like a giant forest. A little forest surrounded by water.
But you see the structure in the center?
Yeah, it looks like definitely looks like a keyhole.
It resembles the same structure that is on Mars. Now go to the other one. Go to the third one. Look at that. These are all in Japan. Various sizes. They're all various sizes. And apparently, there are thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of them, apparently, all throughout Japan and other places in the world as well.
Maybe they just like keyholes.
Now, the people that studied these, they claim that these are some sort of tombs.
That's a big one, dog.
Yeah.
Are you telling me
It's-
is that where Godzilla maybe is? Maybe Godzilla's in that tomb.
Who knows?
That's big. No. On all jokes aside, that's huge. If that's a tomb, dog,
It's
it would
a-
be Japan too. It would be Japan. Have some big old tombs and some creature gonna come out of it. It would be dragons coming out of it. Gundams are released.
Yeah. Now, some of these things, before jumping too far ahead, right? So I wanted to cover the basis of what all these findings were, right? Now, I'll go back a little bit to the pictures and everything that
On
was
Mars.
on Mars, the structures.
Gotcha.
Now, those structures that were on Mars, they were what Joe described as what he saw with his astral projection remote viewing, and he said, "I'm not gonna mistake what I saw. They're accurate to what I saw, basically." And then, so what he described them was, he also said something along the lines of like, when he was remote viewing, he saw figures on Mars that were human-like, but he was not sure if they were alive, but they were definitely around 10 feet tall, but they were definitely human-like figures. And he said there was a crater that he pointed out. Let me see if the crater is...
Is it that one up past the cliff?
I believe it's that one. Yeah, it's past the cliff. Now there was a... So he described this crater. He said there was this crater that was... that had a... Hold on, I wrote it down here. Let me see here. Yeah, 1,200 kilometers of a straight line, what looked like a road that ran straight through that crater. Now, some of these other things that he saw that he described while he was remote viewing there. He said that he saw what it looked like an old fort, obviously the pyramid and the big impact crater, and the road running right through it. And then at the end of that road, on the edge of it, he said there was what it looked like surrounding that crater was about a 3,000 feet tall wall, because there was a shadow that was casted. And, astrophysicists and whatever, all these, scientists and everyone else that kind of did their calculations
from
of
distance
like,
and,
exactly.
and length, and they could see by like how far.
Exactly. And they figured out how tall the shadow casting and everything, how tall this
The structure would be.
the structure around the wall around is.
Yeah.
And it was about 3,000 feet tall wall around that crater. And then there was a triangular-like structure,
Like a pyramid?
like a pyramid, right at the edge on top of that wall that cast a... Now, that shadow that was casted off the wall was half-inch, and that was estimated to be 3,000 feet tall. Okay? Now, the shadow that this triangular structure that was casting atop this wall was what he said, 2.5 inches. Now, you can imagine how tall...
That's pretty big.
How high it was, this pyramid-looking structure that was right at the edge on top of this wall of the crater. And he said that crater, it looked so refined. It also had support systems all around it. And he said that explained to me how a structure like that can be there right at the edge of a crater like that if it was not put there after the crater was created. Because say something like that was right around the crater, right?
Yeah.
If at the time of that impact, you don't think right around the crater, like everything else would be blown away?
Right. Oh, true.
Right?
Maybe it was to contain something.
So what his theory was, what he was asked, he said, well, what do you think it is? And who do you think put it there? He said, I think it was put there by humans. He said, I think it was put there by people that were aliens. Basically, he claims that we are the invaders and that we actually come from Mars. And that there's another dude that was Billy Carson that kind of said the same things along the same lines. And he was like, and these were set in the ancient Sumerian tablets and everything, right? And the ancient Sumerian tablets kind of say this, gives like a time frame of like, I think it was 200. Oh, sorry, no, not 200. I wrote it down here somewhere. It was, where is it? 450,000 years ago. He said the 450,000 years ago, there was some kind of cataclysmic war that went on Mars, and the beings that were on Mars, the ones that escaped, they ended up on planet Earth. And he claims that we are the descendants of those people. That's what he described it as. So it was crazy because he said, what these structures that you see here, which Joe McMoneagle, said they are actually real, and you saw it, and then what the ancient Sumerian tablets and everything also describe, he said they all point to one thing, that there was a civilization on Mars that got destroyed, and the remnants of that civilization escaped. Where did they escape to? Well, the nearest planet was Earth.
Nearest inhabitable.
Yeah,
planet.
nearest inhabitable, and they came here. And the reason why,
And now we're messing it up here.
and now we're messing it up here.
Oh my god.
So
I'm still mind blown at the face, dude. Like
Yeah.
that is out of everything, that and the DNM pyramid. Out of everything, those two items on this picture are like undisputed. Like you can't even, if you're like, oh, that guy did in remote view, that is actually on Mars. That is actually a face. That is actually a pyramid. They're like, people can be like, oh, coincidence. I never expect a coincidence that a face structure by wind and erosion on Mars would ever make that to as true as it is.
that's the thing, and a lot of people obviously write this dude off. They're just like, "Oh, you're crazy, this and that, or whatever." They kind of.
I could see that. I could easily see that.
But how are you gonna write him off like that when the CIA has been using his talents for years, and
well,
they
he's
have,
retired now, though, right?
Yeah, he's retired now.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
they use his institution, or they have these institutions where they train not just him, multiple other people now throughout the years they have been, and well. That ability apparently exists, and he actually went back and he confirmed all these things. And 450,000 years ago, roughly, that isn't like a concrete date and time or whatever. It's rough, estimated time. That's something, and that's why there are remnants of actual man-made looking structures still present on Mars that can be seen. What do you think? Is this possible? Do you think we're Martians? Do you think we came from Mars? Do you think there's an advanced civilization that actually exists on this planet? Do you think we're remnants of it?
What I think is
I don't know.
Something actually probably, with there being those structures clear as day in a picture, I think something happened, and I think some people know, but I think we will never fully know.
That's true.
That's the downside. We will never fully know because some of this knowledge is going to be so locked up deeper than the Vatican catacombs.
Right.
We'll never see it.
I agree.
Do I think there's other things that are out there? Of course. And I without a doubt, I think astral projection is a possibility. Why? Because I want to be able to do it. That would be really cool. And that's really the sole reason, I'm going to be honest with you. And yeah, there's stuff on Mars. There was, if not still is. There had to have been. That's definitive. And that's what I think.
They've been finding water over there. That's a fact. They have found water there. So
maybe we're going back.
Who knows? And what are the coincidences? What are the chances? What's that Elon Musk is planning a trip there for people, one-way trip for people in 2030 is the dateline.
Can you imagine they send people and they start having like some weird feeling because they're there, it's homeland, and they start like growing. Start growing to like 10 feet. Start becoming Spartans. All right, send them back to Earth. Send them back. We're taking over. I need a weapon.
Yeah. All right, so guys, that's all we had for you guys today. Did we pique your guys' curiosity? Did we pique your interest? Let us know in the comments what you think about these crazy theories, but very interesting theories. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section. And if you guys enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe to the channel for more content. Like us, go over to our Spotify channel, leave us a review, and follow us for a great commute listen. And we will see you guys on the next one.
See you.